Hello and welcome to today's episode. We're finally upgrading our battery bank. It's been a long adventure, and we've ran these little lead acid batteries down to nothing, and they've let us down quite a bit. Now these batteries are the ones we're upgrading to. These aren't the lead acid batteries. This is Rebel Batteries. We're here with Aric from Rebel Batteries. We're going to lithium, and so Aric, you want to tell us a little bit about the company?
So I about a year and a half ago, we used to full-time in a camper. About a year and a half ago, I'm retired Navy, so after the camping adventure, looking for my next thing in life, and so starting a business. This interested me the whole time we were camping, and so it kind of doing number analysis and stuff like that, and competitive analysis type stuff. Decided to jump into the lithium iron phosphate battery business, and made my first order. Sold out pretty quickly. That was about a year ago, and then I was able to secure a bunch of financing, and things have just kind of really been taking off. And so I've got some YouTubers that have been interested in in upgrading, and so I've been working with several people actually right now, and things are just going really good. So that's where I'm at now, and hope to keep growing the business.
Awesome. So we're gonna go with 400 amp hours of juice, and so is that gonna be good?
Yeah, so you're going to have about 5,100 watts, just a hair over that.
Okay.
So if you relate that to like a hairdryer runs at 1,500 watts, you'd be able to run a hairdryer for, theoretically hours.
Yay!
Well, Nancy has some questions. Let's do it that way then, with the hairdryer.
Okay.
So my main question is, why do I want to change to lithium instead of what we currently have?
So there's a number of reasons, and that's a very common one. We have actually some threads and stuff. You have a copy. We have some actually FAQs and knowledge-based stuff surrounding that. So the generally brochure type stuff is it's half the weight of a lead acid battery, usually more than half the weight. You get all the usable capacity. So on a lead acid, if it says it's a 100 amp hour battery, you generally can only take that down to about 50% of its capacity. So you got to have two batteries to actually get 100. With lithium, you can use the full 100 amps, so that's a huge benefit. Between that, the lighter weight, they can charge faster. There's a bunch of reasons why you'd want to use them, and safety too. You don't have sulfuric acid. These are a little more greener, a little more earth friendly, and far less susceptible to thermal runaway than Matt was saying earlier. That he thought, you still find it in forums and stuff that lithium's dangerous and it catches fire. But I actually did a video this last week on that exact subject, and I basically short circuited out some raw cells intentionally, and no fire occurred. So that's available.
Cool. We'll link that up.
Link to it.
Yeah,
it's right there.
Definitely.
It's not done yet. It's not done yet, but it'll be there. It'll be there in a day or two.
Cool.
But yeah, so safety, reliability. You got the extra amps, extra watts, extra watts, weight. All those kind of reasons are why you want it. You can run appliances longer, refrigerators. Yeah, I know. Recently, y'all did a video that y'all were running out of power in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
It is 9 p.m. Nancy's taking over watch. We're running the engines to recharge.
Yeah.
Matt looked like he was ready to just fall over dead.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads, that's my second question. Like when we've gone out to anchor, like we go to sleep, Matt wakes up in the middle of the night to go either turn on the engine or the generator or checking the batteries constantly. Just even with running the house lights on the 12 volt, the refrigerator, the anchor light. And then, of course, like you said, when we were offshore, we were having to turn the motor on because we were using the autopilot. So how's this going to help me with that?
So anybody that wants to upgrade their system, step number one is to do your math. Take all that stuff. You got to figure out your base watts. Watts is a unit of measure of energy, power, work, however you want to say that. It's a way to measure what you're using. And so like hair dryers, that's why they say they're 1,500 watts, or microwaves 1,000 watts. It's how much energy it'll consume in an hour. So if you add all your watts up and you say, well, we need 2,000 watts to get through a night, then you need at least 2,000 watts in battery or a generator to make those watts for you. So it all boils down to watts. And even when you go to the next step and you want to plan out your solar and stuff like that, inverters, how many watts do you need to be able to invert? How much solar do you need as far as wattage to meet your requirements? But first, step number one is figuring out how many watts do we consume in a day.
Okay. So I was only supposed to have 2 questions, but now I have another one.
Oh, yes. Good.
Okay.
So how many watt hours do I have altogether if I have 4 of these Rebel batteries?
So 5,120 watts. It's the 1280 times 4.
Okay.
So that number's right there. 1280 times 4, I believe it's 5,120 watts.
That's good. That's good.
That's way more than we calculated, so I think I'm going to be okay.
So like
We calculated 4,000.
Something like
so
that.
if you had a 1,000 watt microwave, you could run it for well over 4 hours.
Oh, awesome. That means I can make bread and
As long
run
as
my
you-
air fryer?
Yeah, as long as you can invert the power, so your inverter is strong enough to turn the battery power into house power.
Carried these down. We didn't even roll them down. We carried them down from the parking lot. The first thing I noticed was I'm carrying 2 full-size batteries.
Group 31.
Didn't even hurt my arms or my shoulders.
Looked
No
like,
way you could do that.
looked like you just got done at the gym.
I know. There's no way you could do that with a lead-acid battery.
No, you're
So that's pretty cool. We should see Cadence lift up an inch maybe once we get these lead acids out. So let's talk BMS. So yeah, old salts, people on the dock. We even had some people in the buying process tell us, we said we want lithium. And they're like, don't do that. Tried and true, go to the proven lead acid.
Yeah.
You're going to burn the boat down. So what's the BMS on these? And what should we look for?
So the BMS is it's made by a company called JBD. It's this specific model in here is a SP04S028, which is their latest model. So yeah, the fire hazard's a concern from a lot of people. These have built-in temperature protection.
Okay.
So if they get too hot, the BMS is going to shut off the charge and discharge paths. If you try to pull too many amps, and say if you didn't have a fuse or something and you try to pull too many amps, the BMS will detect that, and it's in microseconds that it'll click off. And so you got over temp, over volt. If you go too high on the voltage, you can't overcharge them with voltage. The BMS controls all of that and will kill. They're called MOSFETs. The MOSFETs will turn off the power coming in or going out, depending on what you're trying to do. They're overcharge, over discharge. Everything you can think of as far as power is built into the BMS to keep it safe.
Okay.
And so there's another guy named Will Prowse. He does. He's a YouTube guy, and he did basically a review of this battery. He's a pretty respected guy. He did a review of that specific BMS that we had integrated in here, and he gave it very favorable reviews. And there's been a lot of positive stuff on this BMS specifically. But so I mentioned a minute ago, I did a short circuit thing the other day with just the cells out of one of these. No BMS attached. I short circuited them out with the biggest gauge was 6 AWG, right across, melted the wires, nothing wrong with the battery. They took a charge right after. They didn't get thermal runaway. They didn't blow up. They didn't explode. They didn't even expand or vent. So if you short circuit them, real quick, with a BMS, a short circuit instantly kills it. So you can't even short circuit them. But if you were able to, say the BMS failed, and you just short circuit them briefly, it's not going to hurt the cells. They're not going to catch fire.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we got the BMS. What's the Bluetooth here?
So these you can actually connect. There's an Android and an iOS app.
Okay.
It's kind of a generic app from the BMS manufacturer. It's not mine. I'm working on getting one built specifically for our batteries. But through the Bluetooth, all that stuff that we were talking about as far as over temp, over volt, max using capacity, all those kinds of parameters, you can adjust through the admin version of the app.
Okay.
But it gives you per cell. So there's 4 cells in here. There's 4 prismatic cells. And you can see the voltage on each individual cell inside of the battery as it's going up and down through the range.
Cool.
So it's pretty neat to have that Bluetooth capability. And then the switch on top here, that's not actually for power, that's just for the Bluetooth to turn it on and off.
Okay.
1 for power savings and 2 for security. So you were randomly in a marina and somebody tried to maliciously, change your.
I gotcha.
So that was the reason for the switch on top, security and just for power.
I guess there could be points where you don't really need to check them. Don't need to do anything. They run. Everything's working good. You just turn the Bluetooth off.
That BMS is going to protect you at all times. So even if you did something silly to try to overcharge it, the BMS is just going to cut it off. You're safe. If it gets down to 10 volts, the BMS will cut it off. You're safe. If it gets too cold, too hot, the BMS will cut it off, and you're safe. So.
And so, like when
you
I
can
ran
see it
my
in the Bluetooth app too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but in the app it'll tell you cell under voltage protection, or over temperature protection, or over current protection. It'll tell you the reason why it's currently turned off in the app.
That's really cool. So, like when I ran these batteries down to 7 volts,
Yeah.
had I had a BMS on there, it should cut it off.
They would have cut it off whenever you hit whatever you set. Yeah, that's the idea. But this is built in. You don't have to buy anything extra. It's all in here.
Love it. So I can't wait. We're not going to install them today. I need a few more hardware pieces to change my old system out. I got to get some batteries out. But we will update with an install. And it's warm in here right now. We have the AC off because this microphone picks up that AC frequency. So we're going to go out sailing, and we'll talk batteries, but we're going to mostly have a good time, and we'll take you along with us. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's go sail.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah, we just like, what's the current wind? Okay.
All right, Aric, what are we about to do?
I guess we're going to tack to starboard. And
All right.
I'm going to pull the Genoa. Genoa?
That's the Genoa, yep.
Over to the other side.
You got it, Captain?
I got it.
All right.
Okay, ready about?
Ready?
Ready. Down the lead.
It's a lot different than an aircraft carrier.
Is it a lot different than an aircraft carrier?
What's the...
Sorry.
There you go. You got it. You're good? Yeah, it's just tight now. So wrap her up. What happened, Nance?
It like was tangled up. See how it's tangled right down there?
That's all right. That's all right.